Hi, everyone. This is Deb. Now, is Britney Spears being held against her will in a mental institution? The answer is yes, according to this podcast I just listened to. Okay, so I never in a million years thought I'd be making a story about Britney Spears' mental health, but I found out about this on Derek Barry's Instagram. She obviously had heard or listened to this podcast, and these people who produced the podcast have started a Free Britney movement because they received a tip from an anonymous source that used to work at a law firm that said that Britney Spears had been put in a mental hospital against her will. And apparently this was happening because she refused her medication, and this is also the reason that her Domination residency at Vegas that so many of her fans were looking forward to was canceled. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this situation, which I was not, back in 2008, we're going to call it when Britney shaved her head, she was put under a conservatorship, which basically means that another adult, in this case it was her father, was in charge of all of her business decisions, every decision. She wasn't even allowed to drive. I don't know all the details of this. I am going to refer you to this podcast. They do have a lot of information in there about that, and I'm far from an expert. Various other people were added to and taken away from the conservatorship. I knew about this at the time. I had no idea that now we're 11 years later, this woman who is clearly capable of working, she's been doing residencies in Vegas, she's toured the world, was still not even allowed to drive herself to McDonald's to get a McFlurry. What? This caller said that he had been a paralegal at the law firm of, I guess it was an attorney that was affiliated with the conservatorship. And the attorney, I believe, had actually resigned from the conservatorship because he was not comfortable with Britney Spears being put in a mental hospital against her will and actually feared that he might be disbarred. I'm going to play to you the call. He's not just hey, I posted this on Reddit. He actually called them and left a voicemail. So they did get his voice. They did talk to him, text him, and did, to their satisfaction, verify that he was genuine and had worked at the law firm. He says that he no longer works at the law firm. I don't know his identity or anything about him, but I'm going to play you the clip and a little bit of their podcast so you can hear what they have to say.
We're going through our voicemails, and we got this voicemail, and I feel like we should just play it, and then we'll discuss.
Yeah, here we go.
Hi there. I cannot disclose who I am. I just heard the latest episode. You guys are onto something. I used to be a paralegal for an attorney that worked with Britney's conservatorship. I'm no longer with them. And what is happening is disturbing, to say the least. So, basically, Britney was in rehearsals for Domination. It came to Jamie Spears, that Britney was not taking her medication as prescribed. She was missing a lot of doses and just full on not taking them. So they got her to the doctor. The doctor said, okay, if you don't want these medications, let's get you on a new one. Well, she refused to take the new one. So Jamie said, either you take this medication or the show's off, and I'm pulling my support and you can't do it. Britney did not follow Jamie's instructions, and so he was true to his word. He pulled the show. He verbatim said, blame it on my illness. And that's when we get the early January Instagram. Fast forward a couple days, Britney's still not following through with her medication. And as you guys have mentioned, she is seen with Sam driving. A big no-no on, it's a big rule that she broke. Britney has been in the mental facility since mid-January. Of course, the statement yesterday said she entered last week. That is not true. She's been in there since mid-January. And there is no timeline. Granted, I've been gone. I haven't worked at the company or at the firm for about a little over 2 weeks now, but there is no end particularly in sight for this stay at this mental facility to end. She did not want to go. She, I of course, I'm just a paralegal. I haven't had any contact with her, but from what I understand, this was not a decision she made at all.
And that's where it cuts off.
Oh my God. I mean, chilling.
Yeah.
So these girls have a lot more thoughts and information on the whole Britney situation. They do make it sound like it's very much a situation of Britney trying to take control back in her life and not necessarily her being in a situation where she would need medical care. Now, obviously, none of us really knows. None of us are there. None of us really know Britney, but it is concerning that we haven't heard from her in so long. And to think of somebody who is a grown woman who actually has toured the world being held against her will in a mental hospital. I'm not sure what the criteria is for doing that, but obviously if you're under a conservatorship, it should be a lot easier, I would think, to put somebody into a hospital than if they had been given their full rights back. And my big question is, how has this been allowed to go on for 11 years with Britney out there working, and she's had her kids? I'm super interested, and I really want to know a lot more about this. So I definitely want you guys to give me some comments on this and give me some links if you have some links, and I'll try to do a follow-up video on this. And I do encourage you to check out the Britney Graham podcast, which is on SoundCloud, and I am going to put a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. I've been Drag-Centric Deb. I'll be back very soon with another Drag Race related video.
Miss Deb, Drag-Centric Deb. Oh. JK, girl, what are you guys doing? I'm over here, girl, trying to come up with some new material, girl.